just looking for the sports channel, Gary.
Now, Stellar Blade, I ain't gonna hold you. This game is tough. You wanna know how tough it is?
How tough am I? How tough am I?
You ever seen orc knuckle skin, bitch? It's ashy, it's crackling, but it's durable. From their timelines, and it's medieval-esque. They don't have Nivea lotion. They ain't even got the Dream's ex-wife. So you seen that, multiplied by 10. That's how good Stellar Blade is. You probably thinking, are you gonna give us a rundown on how great this game is? Of course I am, bitch. What type of person do you think I am? I'm an audacious host. I don't know what that means.
Embarrassing.
Now, Stellar Blade is an exclusive for the PS5 made by South Korean studio Shift Up. Now, normally, they be cooking up in the lab. They be going crazy with the mobile games. At first, they was doing Destiny's Child.
Say my name, say my name.
Now they doing Nike, not Nike. And then while they was in the lab, they was like, ooh, we never made a console exclusive before. And then they decided to whip up an action-adventure Souls-like that is fast, fluid, sleek, and is packed full of bad bitches with yams for days. How many days?
All of them?
Now this game stars Eve, not the one from the Bible.
That you had.
I know words.
Hashtag this nigga line, your honor.
The thick Asian one. And she's a member of the 7th Airborne Squadron. Now their goal is to hop in their space hoopties and ride down from the stars, and then they're gonna crash land on Earth, and they're gonna bust out them bitches, they little space pods like buff fetuses. And they're gonna fight off these alien creatures known as Naytibas. Now what are Naytibas, you may ask? Well, I'll tell you. Alien life forms that have taken over Earth, and it's their job, these android bitches, they gonna be throwing hands and slap boxing with these alien niggas using any means necessary in order to reclaim Earth for humanity. Now that's a nice little goal to have, story-wise, right? And speaking of the story, in regards to that, fairly straightforward. Now, how straightforward? Imagine two perpendicular lines having a disagreement.
I had 2 bullets in my
It's not gonna have layers of nuance and subtlety. If you've played any recent post-apocalyptic sci-fi game in like the last decade, then most likely you've been here before, my nigga. Like I ain't even gonna hold you. I'm not even gonna lie to you. This is one of those games where you're not here for the story to play out anyway. You are here simply to throw hands. And that's the point of the story, to give you a reason to throw hands with these Naytibas across all of these different planetary levels. Now, the story isn't bad, but it ain't good.
It's a little cheap, but it's good.
The side missions definitely do not help.
He ain't lying.
The side missions to start are gonna be one of a couple things. It's gonna be a puzzle so that you can find some shit, or you gonna have somebody who gonna be like, hey yo, Eve, can you find something that I lost because I don't know how to keep track of shit?
And then what?
You got the people who are like, hey yo, I lost track of a whole human being in the world. Can you please find this person and make sure they're still alive? And very rarely is there an actual arc to the side characters, but the ones that are there, they're fairly decent if I'm being generous. Now, as mentioned earlier, if you were fucking paying attention, the story is fairly linear. Now, why would I bring that up again? It's because you have the ability to explore just a little bit. I'd say it's going to be more of a straightforward story with a bit of a semi-open world to experience. Now, the story, whilst being to the point, does get busy when it comes to the set pieces, you know what I'm saying? And the overall scope. The first level has you fighting some mutated, hungry hippo looking ass nigga with 2 boulders attached to his fucking fingertips. Have you ever seen something like that before?
Absolutely not.
But this nigga is big as shit. He's towering over you like stories tall. And you fighting him with another chick dressed up in all black looking equally as delicious. She a snack too.
Delicious.
Now there are quick time events where Eve is dipping in and out of danger, and your reaction time will decide if a baddie loses her wings. Basically, if your reaction time is trash, she gonna die. Now, the reaction times are generous, and unless you want to fail, you won't. Now the scope doesn't leave the QTEs either. The environments are interesting and expansive, and they have a lot of detail to not only make it feel lived in, but corrupted by the Naytiba presence. Now speaking of the environments, this game is broken down into linear semi-open world level. Each is just as grand as the next, and you can tell that when Shift Up was in that lab, when they was whipping it up, they was putting in that pain to make sure each one was as diverse as the last. Now the post-apocalyptic setting has you traversing dilapidated cities, i.e. Detroit,
Why you boring me? I'm right.
deserts, other parts of Detroit, and it even has you going up to
Space.
Now the levels are big enough to feel like they're worth exploring, but they're also small enough to feel like it's not overwhelming, because you get a game like this, good 20 hours. You play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it's 100,000 hours. And it seems like they designed these levels in a way so that it doesn't waste my fucking time.
My favorite shit.
Now there are nooks and crannies and other hidden areas to find loot in, like costumes and mods for Eve. Even better is that after you find these spaces, it unlocks a quicker way to traverse back just in case you forgot some shit. We love to see it. Now the levels not only being pretty as fuck, but also have bits of information that can be found on the corpses of a nigga who left to explore, but he ain't come back.
You gonna learn today.
Now these logs can lead to not only more loot, but they could also add a little bit more lore to this otherwise mostly unpopulated landscape, because niggas is dead.
Ooh, you know you did.
Now the logs here are special because sometimes they're not just logs, but they're actual like memories. They're actual memories and last moments. And due to that, the quieter aspects of the world building are a lot better than I expected. So, you know, in regards to that, good job, Stillerblade. Now, speaking of the environments, we gotta talk about these mutated, badly built ass niggas called the Naytiba that inhabit it.
I'm like, what do you say fuck me for?
The enemies are not only well designed, but they also add to that lore. The Naytibas on their alien shit, where the designs change based on what they choose to corrupt.
This shit right here, nigga.
Is a nice touch, because not only does that mean each area has different enemies based on the environment, but their attack patterns change because of what they choose to corrupt too. Now that can be from animals to machines.
Anybody can get it.
And they'll definitely keep you on your toes, especially when you get to them big ass bosses. They be big as shit. Now the bosses are top tier in terms of design. They look cool as fuck. And they also pack a fucking punch. So if you ain't watch them tutorials and practice in the skill tree, don't be surprised if you get clapped up like stripper ass. Now this is an action-oriented Souls-like, so the attack patterns that you have to contend with are a bit more forgiving. You also have the ability to flex on them niggas with the numerous waves that you can upgrade and drip out our South Korean princess. She fine as fuck.
We must stay focused, brothers.
More on that in a bit. This game has a nice challenge to it, but also gives you all the tools necessary to body a Naytiba like Beyonce and look good doing it. So if you get annihilated by an enemy a couple dozen times, then nigga, that was your fault. You're trash.
Whack.
Watch the tutorials, practice in the skill tree, look up guides on how to parry and dodge on YouTube. That's what I did. I beat the shit out that game. It's your fault. I'm not one of these get good niggas, but I will say practice.
We ain't talking about the game. We talking about practice, man.
Learn the mechanics, improve 1% every day. Back to the review. Circling back to the gameplay, as promised, it's flashy as fuck and worth learning the multitude of combos and abilities the game has to offer. Eve got parries,
Right.
she got counters,
Right.
she got special moves to give her upper hand in combat.
Wait a minute.
Mind your business. I was definitely locked in on the skill tree, practicing parry timing and getting acquainted with the moves. The skill tree allows you to practice to your heart's content and see all that she has to offer, including that ass.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
Moving on. Mods help in that regard, as they allow you to customize Shorty with all kinds of equipment that'll allow you to change her playstyle to suit your needs. You want a parry-centric build, bitch? We got that. You want a stun lock build? We got that too. You want a long range build? Well, guess what,
Bitch!
cause we got that too. Now this level of customization also trickles down to the cosmetics. The glasses, the earrings, the outfits, the drip, and even the ponytail length as well as the hairstyles can all be customized. Does it change how she plays? Hell no. Does shorty get to slay niggas with her sword and her drip?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
The amount of outfits is crazy and can be found or given through quests. Some are stylish.
Impressive. Very nice.
And some are just there because, I ain't even gonna hold you, niggas is horny little McNasties. Why she need a bathing suit? She is in the desert. You know how dusty her never mind. You even have collectible cans that give you benefits for getting them, but you also get more outfits. Even the Boss Rush and the New Game Plus give you more outfits. Shit, I guess you live by the drip, you die by the drip. The designs of the outfits, while intricate, couldn't be put on something that wasn't, am I right?
Answer the question!
Because it has A1 character design, baby. The designs of the characters are not only pretty fucking good, but also help add to what life is like in this time on this post-apocalyptic planet known as Detroit.
Come on now, dawg.
Based on the garb that a character is draped up in, this can be a differentiator between a civilian, a high-ranking official or guard, or even a personal bodyguard. The details even go down to the body parts of the characters, because a lot of these niggas got prosthetic body parts and limbs and whatnot to replace their actual ones that they done lost in this Naytiba war, because the Naytibas was going crazy. They was swiping limbs like Dora's nemesis.
He's a thief!
And they gotta replace it with something. Now, not only does it add to the harshness of the world, but it also shows how common things such as this are in this world.
Good job.
Now, I've raved about a few things and have been on a few, but one thing I'm always gonna be about is the voice acting.
That shit is a 2-pack of ass!
It has no soul and is poorly done. If you've ever played the original Resident Evil, then expect a couple notches above that.
What is this all about? I can't figure it out at all.
Here's a lockpick. It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you. That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
Hello? Here! Can somebody rescue me? Please?
Human voice?
In the pod. If you're there, please help. Ah!
What the? A survivor from the airborne squad.
I'm trying to be cool, but goddamn.
And that's me being generous. They don't emote correctly, and moments that are supposed to feel somber and elicit some semblance of sadness or rage, they just don't. The story doesn't help in that regard because of how run-of-the-mill, predictable, and fairly shallow it is. So add a shallow story and bad voice acting, that's not really gonna make for an immersive experience.
Did I lie? Did I lie?
Thank God the gameplay carries, and it carries hard. Speaking of the gameplay, it does have variety, but can at times feel like it's trying to double stuff as much shit into itself as humanly fucking possible. This shit goes from an action hack and slash to a horror shooter to a mediocre platformer. Now this is clearly done so that you don't cut this shit the fuck off and double text your ex, but to its credit, it gets the job done. Between all that and the side missions plus the exploration, it keeps you fairly locked in and provides just enough to mix up and change up shit just when another element starts to wear out its welcome. One thing that is not welcome is the platforming. It's not the best. I mean, it ain't the worst, but it's pretty bad. Shorty be gallivanting across these buildings in fucking heels and whatnot, like she's a Boondocks prostitute. And now don't get me wrong, even though that ass heavy, she feels light, but it's the movement that's the problem. It's the movement. It can be real finicky when it comes to her controls and her precision. Get used to dying because of the platforming, cause ledges killed me more than enemies.
That's a snap, Lucha Fat.
The main reason is that she is light, plus her gathering and stopping animations are fucking atrocious. She runs a little before she starts and stops. That plus a ledge means an Asian bitch giving a high five to God because shorty is fucking dead. Still not the worst, as mentioned previously, but it needs some work. But for a first outing, I give them some grace because they cooking for real. They cooking, they whipping it up. The meal is delicious. That was crazy. When it comes to the music especially, they was cooking with kerosene because that shit is fire. The music for Stellar Blade was composed by the same studio that was used to compose music for the Nier series. If you played Automata or Replicant, you can expect similar vibes here. Subtle hums and hushed whispers that are never overbearing. Music that never overpowers the vocals, but both amp up and become more prevalent during combat. The vibe definitely matches each place, with some places having faster or slower music depending on where you are in the game at that moment. Some places are even dead silent, but no matter what, it feels like the choice was done with a lot of thought and intent. I'd expect nothing else from the studio that made music for another yammed up android baddie. You know who I'm talking about, 2B, the booty meat.
Fantastic.
But back to Stellar Blade. One more time, good job Stellar Blade. In the end, I ain't even gonna hold you. This was a great first outing from a studio that is usually mobile focused. Sometimes the game can feel a bit wonky and unfocused, but it usually ties everything together well in the end, playing to both its strengths and not shying away from what it does well. Now this game does have some shortcomings like Yo Mama Pussy, but those are nowhere near enough to make me not recommend this game. You gotta cop this. I don't do ratings because I'm not a 7 out of 10 too much water looking ass nigga, so I will say this. If you got 70 smackaroos, or whatever currency is equivalent, take your ass to your nearest game store and cop this immediately. If you like Souls-like action games, then this is one you can't miss out on. And these niggas is supporting this game heavy too. New Game Plus came out day one. They've added new fits and accessories and added the boss rush, all after its release, all for the free ski. Plus, for all you nasty, filthy, horny, nasty, filthy McNasties, photo mode is coming soon, and I'm assuming you will be too. Based off of all of that, you can tell they believe in this IP long term, and I do too. Now with that being said, pay your child support, tell your mama you love her, and I'll see you in the next one.
Sayonara, niggas.